Hey guys, welcome back to day 9 of 10 albums over 10 days. If you missed the last 8 days, there is a link in the description for a playlist of all of those videos so you can get caught up. And I want you guys to play along at home, so go ahead in the comments below, list one album that has had a huge impact on you. Do it on every single video. Now we are turning the clocks back to high school. I know, not very surprising for this album, but not for the reasons that you would expect. This is again in that time period where Metallica was my favorite band of all time. They were my number one. Nothing could overshadow it. I was balls deep in Ozzy Osbourne, Pantera, and Iron Maiden. Then I found my first really serious girlfriend, and we didn't have quite the same music tastes, but there were definitely some overlap points for sure. A decent amount of that was timbre, another portion of that was hormones. She absolutely loved My Chemical Romance, and just based upon the name alone and how I felt about the whole emo scene, I was very quick to instantly reject it, but she really, really wanted me to listen to the Black Parade, and I was like, okay, for you, I will. Again, normally when people ask me to listen to new music, I kind of blow it off, but we were relatively fresh in the relationship, and the type of music that people listen to, I used to take a lot more judgment into their personality and everything, and I still kind of do to an extent, so I couldn't just conveniently blow this off. I had to actually listen to this album, especially since she asked, you know, it's your first serious girlfriend, you want to make her happy, but then also to get kind of a gauge. I was really surprised how much I legitimately enjoyed this album. And even at that age with the hormones and everything, I could still distinguish between liking it because someone else liked it and liking it because I actually enjoyed it on my own merits. And I was surprised by the fact that it wasn't overly simplified and contrived. It definitely isn't super complicated, but it's not generic emo bullshit. And it certainly was not pop punk bullshit. And as time went on, I listened to it more, and I actually fell in love with this album. It actually inspired me to listen to more My Chem. The Black Parade is like if the Beatles made an emo punk album. It's the best way I can describe it. The production is aggressive and maximized. The saturation is to the peaks they could possibly go, but you can still hear all of the instruments very clearly individually. The amount of ear candy, non-instrument type of sounds strewn throughout this album are really tasty and uncannily well placed. It's just like that they really took their time and really thought out how to build an actual sound experience and not just basic ass songs. This is not how I would expect to mix my drums. Lots of overtone and color coming out from pushing the level so hard it starts to really slam the hardware, the outboard gear that they're using. But damn, does this drum mix sound excellent. Really, really good. That overly aggressive sound, those extra overtones in the drums are actually where most of that aggression on the album is found, as opposed to the guitars or the bass where you'd expect to find it. And don't get me wrong, those are definitely aggressive, but they're a lot cleaner as opposed to the drums. The drums are pretty dirty. The compositions are surprisingly sophisticated in the best heart-wrenching way. I don't know. Words. The guitar tone has a very satisfying, large amount of saturation, lots of mid-range that's just shoving through there, and it blends the nu metal, grunge, and punk sounds of a guitar seamlessly in an unexpected way. My girlfriend at the time was telling me it was a concept album, and it's about this guy or what the fuck ever, and I didn't really fully grasp the concept of it until really a few months ago when Fantano kind of relit the fire under my ass of how much I like this album. And frankly, I didn't really care or need to know that it was a concept album because it's just really good regardless. But it being a concept album definitely adds another context to the music that actually lifts it up another step. Any of the edgy teenager cliche lyrics that kind of get tossed about from time to time in there definitely come more into context as being more artfully beautiful with a certain aesthetic. Once you realize the concept of the album, there's a lot more meaning assigned to it. For a guy like me who hates most emo and punk songs, and for an album that sits squarely in the middle of both of those genres, for me to love this album says a hell of a lot about it. And for people that are really into rock or metal, and don't really like the emo thing, I would definitely give this a shot, especially from the production side of things. The production is excellent. Excellent on this album. Really well crafted, really well thought out. And weirdly enough, I didn't realize how large of an impact this actually had on me writing wise until I came back to it years later. There's a lot of moods and vibes and riff rhythm feels that I've pulled from here. Track highlights. The end. The opening track that sets us up in a very music theater type of way for this journey that we're about to have. A song that's about a guy who's just dying, and it's the most glorious, victorious, cathartic track on the album. Such good vocals on it too. Really good vocal melodies. It prepares you for like, oh fuck, we're about to have an experience, aren't we? Dead. Holy shit, this track is awesome. It's so aggressive, it's so simple, but it gets you bouncing. And if your heart stops bleeding, I'll be there one way with to get what you deserve. The ending of your life. It's like so happy too. And the chorus is fucking killer, man. Always singing along with that chorus. Damn, it's a good chorus. When you get tracks like Welcome to the Black Parade and Teenagers becoming the singles for this album, the most well-known tracks, it's so disappointing to me how those relatively less interesting and less creative songs overshadow songs like Dead, which have far better fucking hooks in my opinion. Okay, maybe Teenagers has a really good hook. I will definitely give it that. But yeah, Dead is excellent. It's so good. So aggressive and fun. This Is How I Disappear. Possibly my favorite track on this album. Yeah, it's my favorite track on this album. It's probably my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite MCR song. Just figuring this out live on camera right in front of you with a little bit of social lubricant. The song is so dark, very melancholy, and very poignant. My favorite fucking melodies on this track. The verse melodies are so good. They are weaving and cascading and winding. There's a very cool contour to the melodies, both rhythmically and also tonally. You feel the dude's pain. You feel it so hard, and a really, really, really good chorus. As is indicative of many tracks on this album, the guitar parts are relatively simple, but holy shit, dude, they kick ass. So well written. And then the bridge, when you come out of the second chorus, you go dun 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 dun. You wanna see how far down? Bunta, bunta. And then after that part, it goes into this kick. Just dun, 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 dun. Then you have the guitars doing an alternate pick fast riff. And then the soaring vocals over top of just pure lament. It's like, oh. Dude, it fucking smacks. And that's all you can. It's so good. Very satisfying, at least to me. The Sharpest Lives. Man, the first 4 tracks in a row are all fucking bangers, dude. Somehow blends in punk, aggressive, angry music with surf rock. There's a fucking surf rock guitar in here. And weirdly enough, it really works well. Some fun lyrical wordplay in here. So why don't you blow me a kiss before she goes? Give me a shot to remember. Ah, that fucking chorus smacks, dude. The chorus is really good. Ah, man, so many singable choruses on this album. And another great example of using that kind of non-instrumental ear candy all over the place, or taking production liberties with things that might not be able to be accomplished live. It's a very indignant song of a person who is succumbing to despair. They're just completely giving into despair. Yet it still has a fucking great attitude about it. No, Welcome to the Black Parade is not on my track highlights, but I wanted to take this opportunity to highlight just how relatively mediocre this song is compared to all of the other songs on this album. The song is so overrated. I don't know why it's the single. Don't get me wrong, not a bad track. I would say actually a pretty great track. It gets so much undeserved praise in comparison to the rest of the tracks, man. It just, I don't get it. I don't get it. House of Wolves. This song is your like 1920s swing with the big toms. Doom, boom, 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 boom. and then it fuses that again with pop punk, or I really would say more kind of punk emo. Again, a great chorus. Then I said, say what I want to say. Tell me I'm an angel. Take this to my grave. Tell me I'm a bad man. Kick me like a stray. And then you got this like, it takes that 20s swing groove and so awesomely blends it into hard rock so well, so fucking well, man. Mama. This song I didn't used to like as much, but having grown up and matured now and knowing what I know about composition and production, I'm like, oh shit, this is a really good track. Each verse is very different from the next. The choruses never exactly the same, and each time it takes the next step up, and it is about this dude who is not okay with his mom. He and his mom do not get along, and they're equally mad at each other as they are sad about things. Actually features Liza Minnelli, which weird, but she gives a fucking awesome performance on this track. And there are moments where it kind of feels a little proggy in some ways. I'll let you listen to that and figure it out for yourself. And then Famous Last Words. Just such a fucking great track to end this on. It's such a nihilist, despairing album that I think that they just kind of wanted to end it on a high note of like, no matter what happens, even if it's all pointless, I still have a reason to keep on trying to live. Which there's multiple ways I guess you can interpret that being the end of the album, especially considering the guy's already dead. Again, a great chorus, really, really good verses, cool guitar parts. Actually, weirdly enough, some really good guitar solos throughout this album. I forgot to mention that. Not something you would expect from emo pop punk guys, but damn, they got some really good guitar solos. So those are my thoughts on the Black Parade. What are your thoughts on the Black Parade? Let me know in the comments below. If you missed any of the other previous 8 days that have happened on this freaking long 10-day journey of explaining the albums that had a huge impact on me, there is a link in the description to a playlist with all those videos in it. Go get caught up. Let me know in the comments your next album that you're picking that had a huge impact on you. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the last one. Don't think you're going to be able to guess it. Go ahead and guess it. Go ahead and try and guess it in the comments. I'm interested now. Rock on.